Ohai. Uzbekistan, the state located in the central part of Central Asia. Uzbekistan is the neutral state. The capital, Tashkent. A state language, Uzbek. Adjacent states. In the east there is Kyrgyzstan. In the northeast, the north and the northwest Kazakhstan. In the southwest and the south Turkmenistan. In the south Afghanistan and in the southeast Tajikistan. Uzbekistan has an exit to the Aral Sea, however is one of 2 countries of the world, along with Liechtenstein, which for an exit to the world ocean need to cross the territory not less than 2 states. All neighboring countries have also no exit to the world ocean. Toponym Uzbekistan is formed by an ethnonym combination, Uzbeks, and the Iranoyasichny formant, a camp, country. The origin of an ethnonym Uzbeks remains a subject of discussion so far. So, the personal name Uzbek meets in the Arab sources of the 12th century. For example, Asama ibn Munkasa in the Book of Edification notes that the emir of troops, the Uzbek, the governor of Mosul, was one of leaders of troops of the governor of Hamadan Bersik in 1115-1116. According to Georgy Vernadsky, the term Uzbeks was used as the self-name of the United Free People, different occupations, language, belief and origin. In work Mongols and Russia, Vernadsky noted, according to Paul Pelliot, the name Uzbek means the owner of. Nature de sa person. That is, the free person. The Uzbek as the name of the nation would mean then the nation of free people. Its point of view was shared by Savliev, writing about the Bukhara Uzbeks in the 1830th years, who considered that the name Uzbek means to itself Mr. Sogdiets, Horesmiets, Baktriets, Ferganets and Sokomasajetsky tribes were ancient ancestors of Uzbeks. Penetration into the Central Asian entre rios of separate groups of Turkic-speaking tribes begins with a turn of a new era. The Turkic-speaking population of Entre Rios, which developed by the 11th, 12th centuries, made a basis of the Uzbek nationality. The ethnonym Uzbek was introduced to the region at Timur, and began to be used more in large quantities after gain and partial assimilation in her circle of the Deshtik Chaksky nomads who removed to Transoxiana on border of the 15th, 16th centuries, led by Shibani Hanum. The poet Alisher Navoiy in the works written in the 15th century mentioned an ethnonym Uzbek as the name of one of ethnic groups of Transoxiana. The poet of the 17th century of Turda wrote about an ethnonym Uzbek as about the uniting name for 92 childbirth in the territory of Central Asia. The Bukhara Emirate, along with the Kievan Khanate and the Kokand Khanate, was one of 3 Uzbek Khanates in Central Asia. In the 1870th years noted that Uzbeks what sort of life they wouldn't conduct, everything consider themselves by one people, but are subdivided into a set of childbirth. It's a result of national and territorial delimitation of 1924 the Khorazm Socialist Soviet Republic, the Bukhara Socialist Soviet Republic, and in their territory and also a part of the territory former Turkestan by the Asir, Rusfars, which was a part, were disbanded. 2 new federal republics, the Uzbek Sur and the Turkmen Sur, were formed. In August 1991, the Supreme Council of Uzbekistan adopted the resolution about declaration of the state independence of the Republic of Uzbekistan and also the law about bases of the state independence of the Republic of Uzbekistan. On September 30, 1991, the Uzbek Sur was renamed into Republic of Uzbekistan. In the constitution of the country accepted in 1992 is recorded that the names Uzbekistan and Republic of Uzbekistan are equivalent. The territory of modern Uzbekistan was populated with Neanderthal men in a Paleo. Obrakmat Teshiktash, the suburb of Andijan. Uzbekistan is two entre rios, between the Amu Darya rivers and the Sur Darya. The territory of Uzbekistan in medieval Arab and Central Asian sources was mentioned as Transoxiana, in the European, Transoxiana. Emergence of the first states in the territory of Uzbekistan belongs to the 8th, 7th centuries BB, when there were such states as Khwarezm, Sogdiana and Bactria. The most ancient cities in the territory of modern Uzbekistan are Samarkand, 742 BB, and Dijon, the 5th century BB, Shakrasebs, the 7th century BB, Khiva, the 6th century BB, Kharshi and Termas, the 5th century BB, Bukhara, the 4th century BB, Tashkent and Marjalan, the 2nd century BB. In 329-327 years BB, Alexander of Macedon conquered Sogdiana and Bactria. Resistance to aggressors was fierce that forced Alexander's army to be late in this area for 3 years. Uzbekistan is ancient Turan center. From 4th century AD, blossoming of ancient Khwarezm begins. From 305 to 995 year Khwarezm, the dynasty of Horemshah Frigidov operated. In the 6th, 7th centuries, the part of the territory of modern Uzbekistan was a part of Sogdiana and Bactria, which were dependent later on the Turkic Khaganate. In 658 years, the territory of Uzbekistan was a part of the West Turkic Khaganate, most of which outstanding governor was Tunyabu Kagan undertook administrative reform and appointed the representatives, Judin, in the area for observation and control of collecting a tribute. After gained by Arabs, she was a part of the Arab Caliphate. From the second quarter of the 9th century, the territory of modern Uzbekistan is a part of the state of Samanidam. The state of Samanidam covers the territory of Transoxiana and Khorasan. In the period of board Samanidam, bases of government, ministry, which existed before the beginning of the 10th century, were created. At this time there is a blossoming of science, culture and poetry in the region. At the end of the 10th century, the state of Samanidam fell under the pressure of Turkic tribes, Karakanadav and Ghaznavidav. Muslim gain in the 7th century led to the fact that most of the population, including local ruling classes, began to practice Islam. Kanin Karakanadami Mavranekar is connected with a name of the Karakanidski possessor, brother of the supreme governor of the state Toganhana Ahmad ibn Ali, Nasser ibn Ali. In 994-995 years he won Fergana and Kujand from Samanidaf. In 995 Elektuk. As the direct possessor of area it was left Mansur. Ahmed Alakski, sitting here at Harun Abu Grahana. And Ibrahim Buratakin occupied 1038 the capital of Mavaranakhr, the city of Samarkand, and proclaimed himself the Khan. In 1042 separate Karakanitsky state educations, East Khaganate with the capital in Balasaguna is later in Kashgar, and the Western Khaganate with the center in Samarkand were issued. Even having borrowed Balasagun, Taingbak Khan left the capital of the Western Khaganate Samarkand. The politician Ibrahim is said among other in unification of a monetary system in the territory of all state. Thanks to centralization policy, fight against political dissociation and maintenance by the stable peace situation established in Mavaranakhr. In narrations by medieval authors, Ibrahim appears as an ideal of the fair sovereign. Since 1042 falling of a dynasty in 1212, the Samarkand Khans came from posterity Ibrahim Tabak-Khana. Thus, Tabgach Khan Ibrahim forever did away with plurality of Khans, having become the only Khagan. Ibrahim the Taingbak Khan constructed madrasa and free hospital in Samarkand. Karakanadav was based by representatives of a Turkic dynasty, a memorial architectural complex Zayin Shahs in Samarkand. Further, it was formed throughout 9 centuries and includes more than 20 constructions of the 11th, 14th and 19th centuries. The oldest constructions of ensemble, from which only the bases and gravestones remained, are dated in era of a Turkic dynasty Karakanadav. The 11th, 12th century. By the 10th century, in the state of Karakanadav, the literary language which carried on traditions of old Turkic written texts functioned. Official Karakanitsky language of the 10th century was based on the grammatical system of ancient Kuluksky dialects. Islamization. Karakanadav and their Turkic citizens played a big role in cultural development of Turkic culture. At the end of the beginning of the 11th century, for the first time in the history of the Turkic people, tafsir, comments on the Quran, was translated into Turkic language. In the period of Board, Karakanadav in Transoxiana lived, and such scientists and poets famous subsequently as Mahmud al-Kashgari, Yusuf Balasaguni and others created. In 12, the beginning of the 13th century, the territory of modern Uzbekistan was a part of the state of Khorramshahr. Genghis Khan's Mongols. Then the territory of Uzbekistan was a part of Ulysses of his sons, Juki and Chagatai I in 1219, 1221. In the 14th century, Tamerlan Emir Timur governed 1336–1405. In the military campaigns, Tamerlan considerably broadened the territory of the state and won a set of adjacent territories including Persia, Asia Minor, northern India, Transcaucasia, East Kipchak and others. Samarkand was the capital of the state of Tamerlana. During an era Timuridav occurs blossoming of science and the culture of the region. At this time there lived the astronomer Mirza Ulugh Bek, poets Abdurrahman Daimi and Alishir Navoi. In 1499, from steppes Kipchak in the territory of modern Uzbekistan, Shibani's troops of the Khan, the Uzbek Khan, the founder of the Bukhara Khanate, intruded. Shibanida in 1501 won the capital of Timuridav Samarkand, then accelerated falling of the Timuridsky state and founded the Uzbek Bukhara Khanate. It is also known as the state of Shibanidav. Shibani Han and his nephew Vabadayallah Han were the poets writing in Turkic language. The state education Shibanidav was divided in two over time, on the Kievan Khanate and the Bukhara Khanate. In Khwarezm to a throne there ascended relatives Shaybanadav of Arab Shida occurring from the Arab the Shah ibn Pilades, the descendant Shayban in the 9th generation. In the Bukhara Khanate remained ruling dynasties Shaybanida 1500–1599. Later conceded the power Ashtarkanadam 1599–1756. After Ashtarkanadav to a throne there ascended the last dynasty from the Uzbek tribes Mangatov 1756–1920. Ruling Bukhara, the emirate which became by the moment before his abolition in 1920. In the Kievan Khanate governed Shaybanida, and from 1770 to 1922 a dynasty from the Uzbek sort, governing before abolition of the Khanate. From 1709 to 1876 in the territory of modern Uzbekistan there was also a Kokand Khanate formed by natives from the Uzbek tribes Meng. By the time of the beginning of territorial expansion of the Russian Empire in the territory of modern Uzbekistan there were 3 state educations: Bukhara Emirate, Kokand Khanate and Kievan Khanate. In 1876 the Kokand Khanate was broken by the Russian Empire, the Khanate is abolished, and the central territories of the Khanate were included in structure of the Fergana region. By the beginning of the 20th century Central Asia was in structure of the Russian Empire, and at the beginning of formation of the Soviet power, despite resistance of Basmaches to Bolsheviks, all Central Asia became a part of the Usur and consisted of Turkestan the Asur, the Bukhara Republic. In September 1924 Beans is renamed into the Bukhara Sur, which after national and territorial delimitation in the Soviet Central Asia was liquidated. October 1924. And the Khwarezm Republic. The Fourth Vekaremsky Kurultai in October 1924 transformed ends to the Khwarezm Sur, a established division her on the Uzbek, Turkmen and Kyrgyzo-Karakalpaksky autonomous regions. From November 27, 1917 to February 22, 1918 in the territory of Uzbekistan there was an unrecognized independent state, the Turkestan Autonomy. In January 1918 after the Turkestan Autonomy refused to execute the delivered ultimatum, to recognize the power of councils, for elimination of the self-proclaimed autonomy from Moscow to Tashkent of the Prophet of 11 echelons with troops and artillery under K. Osipov's command. From February 6 to February 9, 1918 there were street fights, to the considerable victims and destructions in which more than 10,000 civilians died. This operation for long decades undermined confidence of local population to the Russian Revolution, the central and local Soviet government. The powerful National Liberation Guerrilla movement known in the Soviet historiography as the Basmachi movement liquidated by the Soviet power only in the 1930th years became the response to elimination of the Turkestan autonomy. After national and territorial delimitation of Central Asia, the Uzbek Soviet Socialist Republic with the capital in the city of Samarkand was formed on October 27, 1924. On August 17, 1930 the capital of the Uzbek Sur was transferred from Samarkand to Tashkent. The country population of the Uzbek Sur, as well as other republics of the Usur, underwent collectivization and a disposition of kulaks. In 1931 from the Republic more than 3.5 thousand kulak families were moved mainly to the Ukrainian Sur. The population showed resistance, only for January-March 1930 in the Republic there were 105 armed anti-collective farm performances. Being in structure of the Usur, Uzbekistan from the backward colonial region turned into the industrial and agrarian republic, with the developed light and food industry. In tens of times the heavy industry grew. The largest were constructed thermal. Tashkent with 1971, Sirdarya with 1975, the Navai, Angren State District Power Plant, and hydroelectric power stations. Charvikskaya since 1972. Development gas. The Gazli field since 1961. And oil fields especially in the Indijan region began. There were branches of mechanical engineering, absolutely new to the Republic. Electrotechnical, radioelectronic, instrument making, chemical, aviation, etc. New large areas of cotton breeding are created. Uzbekistan became powerful cotton base of the USSR. On June 20, 1990, thanks to an initiative of democratic deputies, Mamatov S. Madaminav E. Vakhadav, the Declaration of Independence of Uzbekistan was adopted. In 1991 the August Putsch in the capital of the USSR to Moscow failed. On August 31, 1991 the President of the Uzbek Sir Islam Karimov announced independence of Uzbekistan. On August 31, 1991 the Supreme Council of Uzbekistan adopted the resolution about declaration of the state independence of the Republic of Uzbekistan and also the law about bases of the state independence of the Republic of Uzbekistan. On September 30, 1991 the Uzbek Sir was renamed into the Republic of Uzbekistan. At the end of this year after the collapse of the USSR the referendum on independence of Uzbekistan where the question was set was held. Whether you approve the state independence of the Republic of Uzbekistan declared by the Supreme Council of the Republic of Uzbekistan. As a result of 98.3% voting supported the independence minding acted as 1.7% voting. The appearance made 94.1%. On September 1 the Independence Day of Uzbekistan and this day is in public celebrated. It is announced by non-working. State language of Uzbekistan is Uzbek. The Constitution of Uzbekistan was adopted on December 8, 1992. Formation of statehood. On October 21, 1989, the law on a state language of the Republic of Uzbekistan, Uzbek, is adopted. On March 24, 1990, the post of the President of the Uzbek Sir is entered. On August 31, 1991, the Republic of Uzbekistan is declared the independent state. On September 1, 1991, an Independence Day of the Republic of Uzbekistan. On November 18, 1991, national flag of the Republic of Uzbekistan is claimed. On December 29, 1991, the first President of the Republic of Uzbekistan is in public elected. On January 4, 1992, the Supreme Council of the Republic of Uzbekistan ratified the Belavesh Accords about determination of existence of the USSR and about creation of the CISIS and also the Almaty Protocol to him. On March 2, 1992, the Republic of Uzbekistan was a part of the Union, having become his full member. On July 2, 1992, the state emblem of the Republic of Uzbekistan is claimed. On December 8, 1992, the Constitution of the Republic of Uzbekistan is adopted. On December 10, 1992, the national anthem of the Republic of Uzbekistan is claimed. Since November 15, 1993 in the Republic of Uzbekistan for protection of domestic market against excess ruble weight temporary banknotes of badge coupons, a sample of 1992 were introduced. On July 1, 1994, the national currency, bags, is entered. According to the constitution, Uzbekistan, the constitutional democratic state. The head of state, the president. The supreme public representative body is Oli Majlis of the Republic of Uzbekistan, who is carrying out legislature. Oli Majlis of the Republic of Uzbekistan consists of two chambers: legislative chamber, lower house, and the Senate, upper house. The Constitution of the Republic of Uzbekistan, Chapter 18, Article 76. The executive authority of the Republic of Uzbekistan providing a management of effective functioning of economy, the social and spiritual sphere, performance of laws, other decisions Oli Majlis, decrees and orders of the President of the Republic of Uzbekistan. The Cabinet of the Republic of Uzbekistan is political parties and movements. 1991, the People's Democratic Party of Uzbekistan, PDU. 1995, Social Democratic Party Adalat. 1995, Vatanava Kyoto Party. In 2000, I united with Faydakorlar Party in one party under the name Faydakorlar. 1995, Milli Tiklanish Democratic Party. 2000, Faydakorlar National Democratic Party. At the beginning of 2008, political parties, Milli Tiklanish and Faydakorlar, declared merge in one party under the name Milli Tiklanish. 2003, the Liberal Democratic Party of Uzbekistan. 2008, Public Association, Ecological Movement of Uzbekistan, a comment to. The movement was transformed to Ecological Party of Uzbekistan on January 8, 2019. On January 24, 2019, I received registration. Oli Majlis of the first convocation. 1995-1999. 69 representatives from the People's Democratic Party of Uzbekistan, 47 from Social Democratic Party Adalat, 14 from Vatanava Kyoto Party and 7 from Milli Tiklanish Party Satat structure. Other deputies were nominated from bodies of the representative power. The first elections to Legislative Chamber of Two-Chamber Parliament took place on December 26, 2004. Following the results to the lower house, there went deputies from LULD, NPU parties, Faydakorlar, Adalat, Milli. On December 21, 2014 there took place the next elections to Legislative Chamber of Parliament, by results of which 52 deputies from the Liberal Democratic Party were registered, 36 deputies from Milli Tiklanish Party, 27 deputies from the People's Democratic Party of Uzbekistan, 20 deputies from Social Democratic Party Adalat and 15 more deputies received the mandates from the Ecological Movement of Uzbekistan. According to the law on elections in Oli Majlis of the Republic of Uzbekistan, acting before adoption of the Electoral Code. Extent of borders -6221 km. Extent. On longitude. From the north on the south. 925 km on width. From the west on the east. 1400 km the most east point of Uzbekistan of the Uts of Topolino of the Indijan region. The greatest height above sea level. Peak Hazrat Sultan 4643.3 m high. Hissa range. The smallest height above sea level. The saline soil of Kulatai in the Hollow Minbalak. 12.7 m. Kizilkami Desert. The climate is sharply continental. Average temperatures of January from +4 C in the south to 10 C in the north, July from +27 C in the north up to +37 C in the south. The lowest temperature 38 C. The territory of Uzbekistan is various, but big spaces of this country are of little use for life. These are deserts, steppes and mountains. The cities of Uzbekistan around which the life of people of this country is concentrated are in valleys of the rivers. The Republic of Uzbekistan consists of the Republic of Karakalpakstan. Areas, regions of rural type, regions of city type, the cities of regional submission, the cities of regional submission, villages. Kishlaks and Alls. The capital of Uzbekistan, the city of Tashkent, has the status of the city of the central submission. Regions of Uzbekistan. Andijan region. Bukhara region. Shizak region. Kashkadaria region. Navoy region. Namangan region. Samarkand region. Sarkandaria region. Sardaria region. Tashkent region. Fergana region. Khorazm region. Republic of Karakalpakstan. According to the State Committee of Statistics, as of July 1, 2021, the resident population of the Republic is 34,860,170 people. In particular, in the city 17.7 million people, and live in rural areas -17.2 million people. As of January 1, 2021, the population made 34,558,900 people. As of April 1, resident population was 34,695,600 people. Since the beginning of year, the population increased by 136.7 thousand people, or for 0.4%. The population for April 1, 2020 made 34,036,800 people, of them 50.5% city and 49.5% rural. At assessment of this proportion, it is necessary to consider that in 2009 in the country at once 966 rural settlements where 4 million people lived, were transferred to the category of city settlements. Therefore, the general indicator of an urbanization rose from 35.8% to 51.7%. For January-December 2019, the population of Uzbekistan increased by 650.3 thousand people. During 2019, the number of been born made 815.9 thousand people, birth rate coefficient -24.3 promille. In 2018, 23.3 promille. The number of the dead in 2019 made 155,000 people, the mortality rate was 4.6 promille. In 2018, 4.7 promille. Average population density 74.1 people/km. The dense population among areas bars the Indijan region both in Uzbekistan and in the Sisis. On number of inhabitants, Uzbekistan takes the third place among the Sisis countries, conceding only to Russia and Ukraine. But unlike the last, in Uzbekistan the high level of birth rate and positive increase in population and as a result is registered. A she part of the population is made by children and youth. However, birth rate level in Uzbekistan quickly enough decreases. So according to the Union, in 1985 the total coefficient of birth rate was 5.7 children on one woman, and by 2014, according to the reference book of CIA on the countries of the world, he fell below simple reproduction of generations and made 1.8. Gradual increase in average age of marriage is characteristic of the population of the country. In 2010 it increased at men from 24.2 to 26.5 years, and at women from 21.4 to 22.4 years. Average age of women at the birth of the first child in 2010 was 22.6 years. In 2000, 23.3 years. Growth of the population is also promoted by decrease in infantile mortality. From 35.1 promille in 1990 up to 10.8 promille in 2010. The expected life expectancy according to official figures. 2010. Made 72.9 years, including 76 years at men and 75.1 year at women. The outflow of the population from Uzbekistan, very considerable in the first years of independence, gradually decreased and in 2019 was 13.2 thousand people. In the Republic there are 120 cities and 115 city settlements. 15,552,800 people, or about 51% of all population in total live in them. Carrying out a population census, the first after the collapse of the USSR, is planned for 2022. The population census in Uzbekistan since 1989 wasn't conducted. Data on population are fixed by public authorities of the Registry Office and also the State Center of Personalization at the Cabinet of the Republic of Uzbekistan. The national identity is specified on the basis of the birth certificate. Nationality of parents. In the corresponding column of the passport at his delivery. Makalia, the system of national self-government. According to the decree of the President of the Republic of 1998, Makalinski committees and Makalinski councils, which function is connected with control of social protection and social security of the poorest segments of the population in a single residential district, began to revive. The Makalinski Committee helps inhabitants waived with the organization of holidays, weddings, funeral, and if necessary assists needy or lonely old men. According to official figures, Muslims -89%. Generally Sunnites of Hanafisti madhab, number Orthodox -4%. The share of Orthodox Christians decreases that is caused by emigration of Russians, Ukrainians, Belarusians, etc. The remaining 3% are Roman Catholics, the Korean Christians, Baptists, Lutherans, Seventh-day Adventist Church, Evangelic Christians and Pentecostals, Jehovah's Witnesses, Buddhists, Baha'ists, Krishnites and atheists. During the Soviet period the religious organizations underwent, as well as in general on the Union, persecutions. Many cult buildings were destroyed. For example, in 1980 in the Republic there were only 89 mosques. Since the end of the 1980s the power became more best to treat faiths, keeping the secular nature of the state. Change of state policy was expressed in transfer to the religious organizations. Not only Muslim. The confiscated property, and at times and in construction at the expense of the state budget of cult buildings. For example, in the late 80s, the beginning of the 1990th years the Mosque Panzhob in Samarkand was restored and transferred to believers of local Iranian community to the state money. Torah rolls are transferred to the Bukhara Jews from the museum. The German Cultural Center received the Tashkent Evangelic Lutheran Church, returned to Roman Catholic Parish the Polish Church etc. According to official figures for June 1, 2010 in Uzbekistan 22-25 religious organizations of 16 various religious faiths were officially registered. Islam -2050. The mosque, religious educational institutions, the Islamic centers. Christianity -175 including the Korean Christians -52. Orthodox Iraq -37. Baptists -23. Pentecostals the Full Gospel -21. Seventh-day Adventist Church -10. Catholics -5. Lutherans -2. Neo-Apostolic Christians -4. The Armenian Apostolic Church -2. Jehovah's Witnesses -1. Church of the God's Voice -1. Misconceptionally Bible Society -1. Judaism -8. Baka -6. Krishnites -1. The Buddhism -1. It is noted that attendance of mosques high, especially among youth, which makes the majority praying. From Christian faiths in the territory of Uzbekistan officially work. Russian Orthodox Church, Tashkent and Uzbekistan Diocese. Roman Catholic Church, Armenian Apostolic Church, Evangelic and Lutheran Church, Union of Churches of Evangelical Baptist Christians, Center of Churches of Christians of the Full Gospel. There are estimates according to which in Uzbekistan there are about 10,000 Bukhara Jews and Jews Ashkenazov. Jews are concentrated in the cities of Tashkent, Bukhara, Samarkand and Andijan. Over 80,000 Jews for the last 20 years emigrated to Israel and the USA. That was caused first of all by economic motives. The Constitution of Uzbekistan declares freedom of worship for all. Under the constitution, everyone has the right to practice any religion or not to profess any. Also, unacceptably compulsory planting of religious views. However, there are data that the freedom of worship in Uzbekistan is broken. For example, the United States State Department carried Uzbekistan to the list of the countries causing special concern, a condition of freedom of worship. Following the results of a research of the international charitable Christian organization, Open Doors, for 2017, Uzbekistan takes the 16th place in the list of the countries where most often oppress Christians and violate their rights. State language of Uzbekistan is Uzbek. The second most important, Russian, which is owned by a considerable part of the population and it has wide circulation in the country. Knowledge of Russian at residents of the cities is much more best than at inhabitants of rural areas. The Russian has no status in the country, a considerable part of official documents, reports are, etc. Published or duplicated in Russian, this language has wide circulation in all fields of activity. At schools, teaching Russian is obligatory and he is studied from the second class. In the territory of Uzbekistan remained and the network of the state educational institutions, including higher educational institutions, continues to operate on Russian. In Uzbekistan, a set of newspapers and magazines in Russian and also 848 schools with training Russian with total number of students in 372,256 people function. 2013. Obligatory studying of English and other foreign languages is one of priorities of the state. This language also is obligatory to teaching at schools. From 2013/2014 academic years, the obligatory learning of foreign language, mainly English, but also German, French, from the first class at school. Before school, students began to learn foreign languages with the 5th class is entered. Besides Uzbek, which is state through the whole country in a number of regions, also other languages are used. So, in the territory of the Republic of Karakalpakstan is official as well the Karakalpak language. In Saksky district of the Fergana region, which from all directions is surrounded with the territory of the Republic of Kyrgyzstan, 99.4% of the population, about 58,000 people, are made by ethnic Tajiks. In the area, 24 schools, 2 lyceums and 2 colleges with Tajik of training function. Mediate schools, lyceums, colleges and offices of higher education institutions in Tajik function in Sarkandaria, Samarkand, Bukhara, Namangan and other areas with the compact Tajik population. In the Tashkent and Navoy regions and also in the Republic of Karakalpakstan, schools and offices of higher education institutions with training Kazakh function. In the Khorazm region and the Republic of Karakalpakstan, schools with training Turkmen function. In total in Uzbekistan function except the Uzbek schools, 848 Russians, 417 Kazakh, 377 Karakalpak, 256 Tajik, 60 Kyrgyz, 43 Turkmen schools. In 2016, 28 schools which on language of training were distributed as follows worked in the Republic. 8825 Uzbek, 836 Russian, 380 Kazakh, 363 Karakalpak, 247 Tajik, 57 Kyrgyz, 56 Turkmen. At some schools training is conducted in several languages. On training language pupils of schools in 2016 were distributed so: 85.61% studied for the Uzbek, 9.94% Russian, 1.97% the Karakalpak, 1.14% the Tajik and 1% Kazakh. Despite the developed network of higher education institutions, number working in them professorial teachers it is small. 22.8 thousand people in 2015. And his qualification in general is low. In 2009 the share of professors, doctors of science in the faculty of higher education institutions made only 6.7%, candidates of science minus 30.4%. In 2010 the United Nations Children's Fund and Fund of Social Initiatives of IKEA allocated 35,000 children's books to 850 schools of Uzbekistan. Training at schools free, but for use of textbooks is raised from each pupil the annual rent. The cheapest rent for textbooks in 2017/2018 makes 7,400 some. Free of charge first graders, pupils of houses of Mekrabonlik, special schools and boarding schools, children from the families needing the social help receive textbooks. For years of independence the educational system inherited from the USSR strongly changed. For example, in 2004 the extramural studies were cancelled, but since 2017 it was again entered in some higher education institutions. With coming to power of Shens Mirziyoyev in 2016, Russia became one of the main partners of Uzbekistan in education. In Uzbekistan 10 branches of the Russian higher education institutions work. Only in 2019 it was opened 6, including Mises, the nuclear university MEFI Medjimo, the Russian State University of Physical Culture, Sport, Youth and Tourism, the Chemical and Technological University of Mendeleev and also May. In the country in days of independence together with the Russian also a number of foreign higher education institutions opened. He opened 2002 the first English language higher education institution, the International Westminster University in the city of Tashkent. Despite rather young population of the Republic, costs of healthcare in the budget of the country are very essential, minus 15.3% for 2018. The healthcare of Uzbekistan is presented by the public and private treatment and prevention facilities. For years of independence the Uzbek healthcare underwent significant changes. The unique system of urgent care centers equipped with rather modern equipment is created. The centers of the emergency medical care perform free medical care to the population as at primary, pre-hospital stage and at the level of the qualified stationary help. Culture and public relationship in Uzbekistan have centuries-old history. From Massachusetts media, more than 1300. It is worth allocating National Broadcasting Company of Uzbekistan, regional TV and radio companies, FM radio stations, government newspapers and also internet resources. The TV and radio industry in Uzbekistan gained rapid development in connection with transition to digital technologies. For 2010 in the country there were 881 printing editions. In Uzbekistan newspapers on Uzbek, Karakalpak, Erkin Karakalpakstan, Tajik, Ovozi Toshik, on Kazakh, Nerla, Russian and other languages are issued. Book publishing is also developed. Total annual circulation of the books published in the Republic in 2010 increased from 8.9 million copies up to 28.5 million copies. However, distribution of editions among the population restrains because after privatization the book-selling network fell into decay. In Uzbekistan in 1990-2010 the number of bookstores was reduced from 657 to 70. Cultural institutions. Uzbek Creative Production Association. Public institution Uzbek Concert. General Directorate of the International Musical Festival, Shark of Ataranalara. Directorate of the Academic, National and Art Collectives. Orchestras. Symphonic, Chamber, National Tools. Republican Association, Uzbekostcirk. Republican Methodical and Information Center. House of Creative Youth. Republican Scientific and Methodical Center of Folk Art and Cultural and Educational Work. Main Research and Production Protection Department into Use of Objects of Cultural Heritage. Management of Art Examination. Republican Fund Uzbek Uzi, Museums of the Republic. About 40 theaters, among which the State Academic Bolshoi Theater of Alisher Navoy, the State Academic Russian Drama Theater of Uzbekistan Ilkham Theater, is also available conservatory work in the Republic. The big contribution to art is made by National Symphonic Orchestra of Uzbekistan. Electronic Massachusetts Media. National Broadcasting Company. Neyererk of Uzbekistan. National Association of Non-State Media. NESMI of Uzbekistan. On July 2, 1992 Oli Majlis adopted the law on holidays and declared festive the next days. On January 1 New Year. On January 14 Day of Defenders of the Homeland. On March 8 the International Women's Day. On March 21 Nowruz. On May 9 Day of Remembrance and Honors. On September 1 the Independence Day. On October 1 the Teacher's Day and the Mentor. On December 8 the Constitution Day. Religious holidays Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. All of them except Day of Defenders of the Homeland are non-working. Now in Uzbekistan several operators of mobile cellular communication work. Operators of the GANZ-M standard. Uzbekalcom Mobile branch of Jesk Uzbekalcom. Uzmobile. Humans. Humans, part of Humans group of companies. Operators of the CM standard. The operator of the CM 20101X450 standard Uzbekalcom Mobile branch of Jesk Uzbekalcom. Uzmobile. Operator of the Rubicon Wireless Communication CM 20101X standard Perfectum Mobile trademark. The most part of the inhabited territory of the country has access to mobile communication. All operators of the GANZ-M standard render services of data transmission of standard 3G and 4G elite. In November 2017 in the capital of the country Tashkent testing of technology 5G was begun. For the end of 2021 in the country 5G is present only at Tashkent where there are 15 base stations which number and geography is planned to expand in the future. It is predicted that the technology 5G in a full-fledged look will appear in the country not earlier than 2024, and her level of penetration by 2025 will be only 2%. Each part of the population of the country uses 2G and 3G, penetration into 41% and 46% respectively. Level of penetration 4G is about 15%. The third indicator in the CISIS. And according to forecasts, by 2025 will be already not less than 56%. In turn, the share 2G will decrease to 6% and 3G to 36%. Total length of wire telephone communication in Uzbekistan is over 3 million meters. In June 2021 it became known that the number of subscribers of mobile cellular communication in Uzbekistan reached 26,900,000 people, at the population in about 35 million people, and there are steady trends of further growth of this indicator. The number of Internet users for December 2020 reached 22 million people, including 19 million people using generally mobile Internet. Generally, it is the 34th place in the world. 70% of schools and 78% of healthcare institutions were connected to the Internet by the end of 2020. For the same date, the total length of fiber optic lines in the country reached 55.6 thousand kilometers. Coverage level mobile communication of settlements in the Republic reached 97%, and coverage level broadband mobile communication -87%. The number of ports of broadband access reached 3 million units. Uzbekistan takes part at the Summer Olympic Games since 1996, and at the Winter Olympic Games since 1994. Uzbekistan is one of the most sports countries in Asia. Sport no. One in the country is the soccer. The Football Association of Uzbekistan since 1994 is the full member of AFI and FIFA. The national team of Uzbekistan is one of the strongest national teams in Asia and in the former Soviet Union. It participated in all Cups of Asia since the Cup of Asia of 1996. In Cups of Asia 2004, 2007 and 2015 the national team of Uzbekistan reached a quarter-final, and in the Cup of Asia of 2011 reached a semi-final. The national team of Uzbekistan yet never participated in final stages of the World Cup, but in qualifying tournaments to the World Cup 2006, 2014 and 2018 stopped in a step from an exit to a final stage. The national team of Uzbekistan is a silver prize winner of the Afro-Asian Cup of the Nations of 1995. The youthful national team of Uzbekistan is a champion of the Junior Championship of Asia 2012 in Iran and also the silver prize winner of the Junior Championship of Asia of 2010 and who passed in Uzbekistan. The youth team of Uzbekistan is a champion of the Youth Championship of Asia 2018 in China. An Olympic team of Uzbekistan became the champion of a football tournament of Summer Asian Games 1994 in Hiroshima. The highest division of the Championship of Uzbekistan on soccer is the Super League of Uzbekistan. Football clubs of Uzbekistan quite successfully act in the international tournaments. The Nassif Club in 2011 became the owner of the Cup of AFC, an Asian analogue of the UEFA Europa League. Also, football clubs of this country participate in the Champions League of AFC, in the most prestigious club football tournament of Asia, and during some seasons Paktakor and Bunyadkar clubs several times reached a semi-final of this tournament. The judicial school in soccer is strong. The referee of FIFA R. Armatov served 11 matches in the World Cups. That is a record of the World Cups for chief judges. The boxing is also one of the most popular sports in Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan has 4 Olympic champions, owners of 2 silver and 8 bronze medals of the Olympic Games in this sport. Also, the country has even more owners of medals on boxing in Asian Games, in the Championships of Asia and the world. At the Summer Olympic Games of 2016, the boxing national team of Uzbekistan won first place in a medal count on boxing, having won 3 gold, 2 silver and 2 bronze medals. Uzbekistan is the full member of such international organizations as the United Nations and her affiliated organizations as the IMF, UNESCO, WHO, ICA, etc. The Commonwealths of Independent States. One of the state's founders. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, the Organization of the Turkic States, the International Organization of Turkic Culture, the Observer in the Eurasian Economic Union and in the World Trade Organization. In 1992, 1999 and 2006-2012 Uzbekistan was a member of the STO, in 1999-2005 the DIC of Guam, nowadays Guam, and in 2006-2008 the member of Eurosec. Khartoum, the largest banknote of national currency of Uzbekistan. On gold reserves the Republic takes the 4th place in the world, and on the level of his production the 7th place. About 92 t of gold annually. On copper reserves -10, 11th place. Uranium -11, 12th place, and on his production -7, -8th place. According to World Nuclear Association, European Nuclear Society and British Geological Survey, Uzbekistan stands on the 12th place in the world on reserves of uranium and on the 7th on his production. See article Uranium over the countries. Industry structure of DDD for 2017. Agriculture -19.3%, the industry -33.4%, services -47.3%. In 1994-1995 in the country large-scale privatization was carried up. For 2 years it is transferred to private hands and enterprises are transformed to joint stock companies. The second, less large-scale wave of privatization fell on 2001-2005 when 66-98 enterprises underwent privatization. If during the first wave about 21% of the enterprises were Razgosuda through incorporating, then in 2001-2005 this indicator was a little more than 8%. In 2007-2010 privatization went only way of direct sales, but not incorporating. In total in 1994-2010 in the Republic were Razgosudar, incorporating in direct sales in private hands. Enterprises. In the country by the beginning of the 2010 years about 40 fields with uranium reserves which basis was made by 27 fields were reconnoitered. According to Information Center of the State Committee on Geology and Mineral Resources of the Republic, explored reserves of uranium were estimated at 185.8 thousand tons. The republic has no own atomic industry. All produced low enrichment uranium is exported. In Uzbekistan, the powerful mineral resources, which are one of the main articles of currency receipts in national economy, are created. This base is made today by more than 1800 fields and about 1644 prospective shows of minerals, 118 types of mineral raw materials, from which 65 are custom. Mineral resources of Uzbekistan are estimated by experts approximately at $11 trillion. In 2011, the Habib Bank, in the report of World in 2050, defined the Uzbek economy in one of the most fast-growing economies of the world for the next 3 decades. Uzbekistan was included into a top 26, the countries with the predicted expected economic growth more than 5% per annum. Uzbekistan possesses the developed cotton market. In 2014, the record harvest of grain, more than 8 million tons, was reaped. In 2017, 2.9 million tons of cotton raw were collected. Considerable untouched reserves of oil and gas. The current gas production makes a decisive contribution to electricity generation. Experience of production of agricultural cars. In the city of Yusuk, in the suburb of Andijan, there is a large plant, Uzbekistan, releasing cars according to the licenses Daewoo and Chevrolet. Also, Tashkent tractor plant releases agricultural machines and the equipment and spare parts to them. The Uzbekneftgaz national company takes the 11th place in the world on natural gas production. Annual gas production minus 70 billion m. (194 fields of hydrocarbon raw materials, from them gas and condensate minus 98, oil and oil gas condensate minus 96. Geological reserves of oil minus 5 billion t. The proved oil reserves minus 530 million tons. As of the beginning of 2016, the proved oil reserves in Uzbekistan made 81 million tons. Geological reserves of natural gas more than 5 trillion m. The proved reserves of natural gas minus 3.4 trillion m. Oil production minus 5 million tons a year. The largest corporations in power at CXC. China National Petroleum Corporation, Petronas, Malaysia, NOC, Korea, Gazprom, Lukoil, Uzbekneftgaz. The largest note minus card sum is equal at the cost of $12. As of May 2019. On September 5, 2017, the authorities of Uzbekistan carried out devaluation of national currency, having brought down her course for 48%. Up to 8100, some 4210.35 baht the day before mined. At the same time, restrictions for purchase of foreign currency by natural persons, except for individual entrepreneurs, were maintained. Since April 1, 2018, removal of cash foreign currency from the international plastic cards without restrictions became available. The most important agricultural products of Uzbekistan, besides cotton, are fruit, vegetables and grain. Wheat, rice and corn. The main energy resources of the state are natural gas. They confirmed stocks to 2 trillion m. including large Shirtansko, 0.5 trillion m, and Alania, 0.2 trillion m. Fields, the Erga large-scale deposit with stocks to 1.5 trillion m is reconnoitered. Coal. The Angren field with stocks to 1.9 billion t of brown coal. Reserves of uranium ores. The general up to 230,000 tons of uranium, including the largest, the Ukudukski field. And hydraulic power. The rivers Churchik, Akangaren, Angren, Sekundaria and Setsmol. As of July 1, 2019 in the Republic there were 66.6 thousand enterprises, about 14.5 thousand from them were in the capital. Uzbekistan for the first time received sovereign credit rating in 2018. Fitch assigned to the country score at the BB's level with the stable forecast. Uzbekistan placed the first Eurobonds for $1 billion in London in 2019. The most part of release was redeemed by investors from Great Britain. In December 1994, Uzbekistan received the status of the observer of the World Trade Organization, having initiated process of the accession to this organization. In July 2020, the fourth meeting of the working group on the entry of Uzbekistan into the UTO, almost in 15 years after the last official meeting is held. By the end of the Soviet period, the cotton, which in scales of Uzbekistan was practically a monoculture, was the main culture of the republic. During independence there was a reorientation of the agrarian sector from a cotton on other cultures. Acreage of wheat grew from 433,000 hectares to 1,404.1 hectares, an average yield from 12.8 c/hectare to 47.3 c/hectare. As a result, in 1991-2013 annual production of cotton raw fell from 4,446.0 thousand tons to 3,460.1 thousand tons, but annual production of food crops sharply increased. Grains by 3.5 times. From 1,908.2 thousand tons to 6,612.2 thousand tons. Vegetables by 2.3 times. From 3,348 thousand tons to 7,767.4 thousand tons. Potatoes by 5.9 times. From 351.2 thousand tons to 2,057.1 thousand tons. Melon by 1.5 times. From 925.8 thousand tons to 1,418.4 thousand tons. Fruit by 3.9 times. From 516.6 thousand tons to 2,052.8 thousand tons. Grapes by 2.5 times. From 480.4 thousand tons to 120,000 tons. Also during independence the livestock production developed. In 1991-2013 production of meat increased by 2.1 times. From 800.2 thousand tons up to 9,000 tons. And milk by 2.2 times. From 3,331.4 thousand tons to 7,310.9 thousand tons. The significant role in production self-design of products is played small. On average in 18 workers. by farms, which in the Republic in 2013 there were 73.5 thousand and which occupied the space of 5.8 million hectares. Uzbekistan exports $14 billion in 2017. Cotton, gold, uranium ore, natural gas, mineral fertilizers, metals, products of the textile and food industry, cars. For 1991-2017 there was a significant change of structure of export of Uzbekistan. Services sector. Her share in export makes 25.1%. Became the main goods of the Republic. At the same time the share of cotton fiber in export decreased from 59.7% to 3.4%. The food share from 3.9% increased up to 6.3%. Chemical products from 2.3% to 6.3%. Ferrous and non-ferrous metals from 4.6% to 6.6%. Machines and the equipment from 1.7% to 2.5%. Positive balance of trade balance in 2017, $945.5 million. Gold and foreign exchange reserves, $28.3 billion. On May 1, 2018. On the second half of 2019, the total foreign trade turnover of Uzbekistan makes about $30 billion, of them export about $12.5 billion, import over $16 billion. The largest trade partner of Uzbekistan is China, about $6 billion US. On the second place Russia, more than $5.5 billion, follow further Kazakhstan. More than $3 billion. Turkey. More than $2 billion. South Korea. About $2 billion. Germany. Over $1 billion. In December 1994, Uzbekistan received the status of the observer of the World Trade Organization, having initiated process of the accession to this organization. In July 2020, the fourth meeting of the Working Group on the entry of Uzbekistan into the UTO, almost in 15 years after the last official meeting is held. The most serious environmental problem is the continuing drying of the Aral Sea. Trial works on use of the underground nuclear explosions. For the benefit of the national economy in the Soviet Union were begun in 1965 and continued till 1988. For this period in the territory of Russia, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan 121 nuclear explosions were conducted, from them 62 are carried out on objects of an oil and gas complex. In particular, nuclear explosions were made on objects. Ertubulik Field, the Bukhara region, it came to the South Bukhara on September 30, 1966, 30, depth is 1532 m. Suppression of the burning gas well. Pamuk Field, the Kashkadarya region, 70 came to the west of Karshi, on May 21, 1968, 47, depth is 2440 m. Suppression of the burning gas well. In the country there are a lot of official non-profit organizations, in their 2013 more than 5,000. Apart from several tens of thousands Makalinski committees were registered. A considerable part of labor unions of workers is included into Federation of Trade Unions of Uzbekistan. It for the two-quarter 2012 united 14 industry territorial joint organizations, more than primary cells in which 5.9 million people consisted. despite the developed network of the scientific organizations inherited from Soviet period. Were engaged in developments in 2011 in the country 317 institutions, including 80 higher education institutions. The research activity is small. In 2011 in the country only 556 applications for patents. In 1994, 1125 applications were submitted. And about a half of applications are submitted by non-residents of Uzbekistan. Armed forces of Uzbekistan include ground forces, troops of air defense and the Air Force, special troops and National Guard. Since 2004 in armed forces of Uzbekistan reform during which the number of permanent troops was reduced due to refusal of a full general appeal was undertaken. According to results of medical examination of the recruit, studying of his moral and professional qualities and also a financial and social status of dix of his family, the regional city draft commission makes the decision on degree of the validity or worthlessness of the recruit to military service. As of 2010, the total number of armed forces was 65,000 people. On this indicator, the country takes the 70th place in the world. Annually, the military age is entered by 306,404 men. Suitable for military service -6,566,118 men in age group 16-49 years. In size of the military budget, which makes $3.422 2010 billion, the Republic takes the first place in Central Asia. The size of the military budget for 2021 is $1.9 billion. The number of constant armed forces is 69,000 people. In the Global Index of Military Power, Global Firepower for 2018, armed forces of Uzbekistan take the 39th place from 136 countries. Tourism became one of key spheres of economy of Uzbekistan in recent years. The sphere of tourism at the state level is determined by one of the main branches of economy to which the state pays much attention. If in 2008-2017 Uzbekistan was visited in a year on average by from 1.222 5 million foreigners, then in 2018 and 2019 the country was visited by over 6.4 and 6.7 million foreigners respectively. For an example, during the period from 1992 to 2007 the country was annually visited on average by from only 170 to 900,000 foreigners. Since 2017 Uzbekistan began radical liberalization of visa policy, having cancelled entry visas for the majority of the countries of the world. About visa policy of Uzbekistan it is possible to esteem in this article. Taking the 56th place on territories and the 41st place on the population, Uzbekistan is among world leaders in security, with reserves of gold, silver, tungsten and phosphorites, potash, salt, rare earth metals and other valuable minerals, in particular, unexplored reserves of gold on the 4th, uranium on the 7th, molybdenum on the 8th, on the confirmed copper reserves on the 10th, natural gas, the 14th place in the world. On extraction of cadmium on the 3rd, uranium on the 6th. Gold and natural gas, the 8th place, and also among 15 largest countries on the planet on extraction of molybdenum, feldspar and some other types of industrial raw materials. In the second 10 of the countries leading on production of sulfuric acid, nitrogen fertilizers, mineral lubricating oils and paraffin, cotton yarn and fabrics on a rail freight turnover. On cotton fiber export on the 5th. Uranium, on the third place in the world. Agriculture. One of the largest countries of the world on the number of livestock of sheep and cattle, one of the largest producers of leather and wool, on the second place in the world on production of fur of Astrakhan fur, on production of milk of all types, on the 17th place, with result in over 165 tons of card liters. On the area of artificially irrigated lands, on the 14th place in the world -42, 200 km. It is slightly more than all area of the Netherlands. On the second place on cultivation of apricots, over 500,000 tons, on the second place on cultivation of carrots, over 2 million tons, on the third place on cultivation of quince, over 110,000 tons, on the seventh place on cultivation of cherry, about 230,000 tons, on the eighth place on cultivation of garlic, over 255,000 tons, on the 11th place on cultivation of apples, over 450,000 tons, on the 8th place on cultivation of watermelons, over 1.8 million tons, on the 11th place on cultivation of melons, over 1.6 million tons, on the 14th place on cultivation of tomatoes, over 2.5 million tons, on the 20th place on cultivation of pear, over 100,000 tons, on the 21st place on cultivation of wheat, over 6.5 million tons annually, on the 23rd place on cultivation of potatoes, about 3 million tons. And as in top -30 in top -50 the countries of the world on cultivation of eggplants, beans, grapes, peas, walnut, A0, fig, cabbage, strawberry, red pepper, corn, lemons, almonds, chickpea, oats, cucumbers, peaches, paprika, turnip, onions, rice, rye, Ecothymus tinctorial, sugar beet, a seed of sunflower, plum, pumpkin, haricot. A cauliflower, sweet cherry, a saffron, barley, top 100 on cultivation and production of tea and tobacco, in top -50 on production of wine and other alcoholic beverages. Tourism. One of the most visited by tourists and foreigners in general. The countries of the region, following the results of 2018 and 2019, Uzbekistan was visited by over 6.4 and 6.7 million foreigners respectively. According to the United States Department of State, Uzbekistan is in group of the safe countries for tourism in which it is necessary to take usual precautionary measures. Democracy. According to Index of Economic Freedom, Uzbekistan is in the 108th place on economic freedoms. According to Democracy Index. Economist. On the 156th place on development of democracy. According to Freedom in the World. Freedom Democracy on the 181st place on the level of the civil rights. The rights and freedoms of the person. And political freedoms. According to Reporters Without Borders on the 157th place on freedom of media. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.